So we have just compiled these sets of formulas, these two sets of formulas, on the sine of two added angles. No. So we have compiled these two sets of formulas on the trigonometric functions of two added angles and two subtracted angles. Now, 6 formulas is a little bit unhelpful, though. Which one do you use? I mean, obviously you can look at whether you're adding and subtracting and then find the correct formula, but is there any way to visually summarize this in less, maybe like half as much? Well, you'll notice that there's a certain consistency with the change in sign. Notice that, and I don't mean sign function, I mean the sign in front of our b. So when b is positive up here, notice that in this formula, this plus sign is also here. Now when b is negative over here, or we're subtracting b, it's not necessarily correct to call it negative, but we're subtracting b. And notice there's a minus sign here too. These should not look like equal signs. These are just underlines. Yeah, I'm just gonna make these look less like equal sign because that might be misleading. Okay, let's look at cosine. Well, cosine has this plus sign here and a minus sign here. And when it has a negative sign here, it has the opposite. Again, it has a plus sign. So plus to minus, minus to plus. Now notice tangents. The normal one here, when there's a plus here, there's a plus here and a minus here. But in this one, when there's a minus here, there's a minus here instead of a plus, and a plus down here. So that's kind of interesting. How can we sum these up? And I'm going to write it out, and hopefully it will make some sense. So we have that the sine of alpha plus or minus beta is equal to the sine of alpha times the cosine of beta plus or minus the sine of beta times the cosine of alpha. So when that first sign is positive, basically these plus or minus, they read from the top down. So when the first one over here by this one here, I'm not going to leave that there, that one, when it's plus, then the other one is plus because the plus is on top. Now you're going to see the opposite in a moment. We also have that the cosine of alpha plus or minus beta is going to be equal to cosine alpha cosine beta. Now notice, we're going to say minus or plus sine of beta or sine of alpha times the sine of beta. Doesn't matter which order you multiply those in. I just like doing sine of alpha first. So notice, now when we have two angles added, when this is a plus sign over here, we read from the top down on the other one, so this one's going to be minus. And that seems to work up in our above formulas, right? When cosine is plus, we looked at over here. Then we'll have a minus sign over here, right? And when it's minus, we have a plus sign. It's the opposite. So that's what this notation here means. Cool. Now let's look at tangent. This one is a little bit more complicated, but I think we can do it. The tangent of alpha plus or minus beta is going to be equal to, because this is a combination, it's a little bit more complicated, tangent of alpha plus tangent of beta divided by 1 I forgot the minus here. It's tangent of tangent of alpha plus or minus tangent of beta, and then 1 minus or plus tangent of alpha times the tangent of beta. And you'll notice that that works out as well. So now we have, from our 6 formulas, 3, because we have these plus or minus signs. Each one really represents 2 formulas, one for each trig function, that describe both the addition of 2 angles and the subtraction of one angle from another. I hope that this was helpful, but if you'd like more help, we're going to make a series of videos on some examples of this coming up next. Thanks for watching.